Welcome to the lecture online, and today we are going to talk about the unit circle. Now, what is the unit circle? Well, it turns out that sometimes we use the unit circle to illustrate various concepts in trigonometry. A unit circle is a circle on a Cartesian plane whose radius is exactly 1 unit. That's why we call it a unit circle, because from the origin, then we have a single unit to the y-axis, a single unit to the negative in the x-axis, a single unit in the negative side of the y-axis. So we use a unit circle to explain how angles vary, the angles of the sine, the angles of the tangent, or the angles of the cosine. Of course, we could also have more ratios like the cosec and the cotangent, but that one will be done in advanced trigonometry. So, as just we have said, that the unit circle has a single unit as the radius. Now, when you take the direction of the anti-clockwise or the anti-clockwise direction, then all the angles are going to be positive. The angles to the negative are taken as the clockwise direction. So as you move to the clockwise direction, then those angles are going to be negative. Now, one more thing, these angles can be related in terms of waves. Remember, when we talk about the waves, the crests and the troughs, then you will also explain something to do with how a given ratio varies within a wave. Now, and of course, we know from the waves point that those angles can be infinite, can be so many. They can go round or they can move to the negative direction or the positive direction up to infinity. And the same thing happens here. These angles can move around this circle repeatedly up to infinity. And therefore, a unit circle, for us to work with it, we normally give a range of angles, say from 0 to 360, or from negative 180 to 720, and so on. So for us to be able to work with a unit circle, then we must have a range of angles that we have to use. Otherwise, we might go up to infinity, to the negative and to the positive. So how do we use the unit circle? For us to learn about how we use a unit circle, let us know first, what does it entail? A unit circle entails 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, depends on how you want to name it. Now, in the first quadrant, we have the 3 ratios that we are going to discuss and their characteristics in each of those ratios, in each of those quadrants. Now, in the first quadrant, you can see I have indicated with an A. It means, therefore, all the signs are positive, or all the ratios, the sine, the cosine, and the tangent are all positive. And that's why I have indicated that all of these ratios are positive. Well, when you go to the second quadrant, we notice that only the sine, that's why I have indicated with another color here, is positive, and the cos and the tangent are negative in this quadrant. And therefore, only the sine is positive. So in the next quadrant, you notice that T represents the tangent, and the tangent is the only one that is positive, whereas the others, that is the cos and the sine, are negative. In the last quadrant, represented by C, to mean that the cosine is positive, sine is negative, and the tangent has to also be negative. Now, depends on how you want to name it, but if you have this as acts, you can easily remember that if you use acts in the clockwise direction, then you're going to have those ratios that are positive in each quadrant. Well, for you to be able to also do such a problem easily, it's important that you note that these angles, the angle that you're going to use all along the unit circle, must be drawn from the x-axis. Well, if you found that the angle that you're going to use in the unit circle is theta, for example, then you're going to draw the angle from the x-axis, from the x-axis, from the x-axis, from the x-axis for all the 4 quadrants. That is, if you want to really understand or get what you want easily. Also, If this in this quadrant, this angle is theta, therefore it means since this is 90, the remaining angle here will be 90 minus theta. Same case to the second quadrant where we have theta here, the remaining angle here is going to be 90 minus theta. This is again theta, this angle is going to be 90 minus theta. And lastly, in the last quadrant, if this angle is theta, this other one is going to be 90 minus theta. And also, it's good to note that the angles to this direction are negative and the angles to this direction are all positive. Well, so how do we apply the unit circle? In the next video, we are going to do an example involving the unit circle. But just before then, it's good to understand that when you have, you want to work out, for example, the sine of theta, the sine of theta as equal to say 0.5. Sine of theta equals to 0.5. We can have so many possible angles, and therefore it's good if we can give the range to which we must work out. For example, we can work out the range from say x is this angle is less than or equal is greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 360 degrees. So if you use this angle, then we are going to take the sign as a positive, because you see the coefficient of this number right here is a positive, and therefore as we move along with the unit circle, we are going to use positive. We are going to find those quadrants whose sign is positive. For instance, if we then say that this is all positive, and this is cosine is positive, tangent is positive, and the sine is positive here, then we are going to look to find those two quadrants whose signs are positive for sine. Alright, so all are positive here, and the sine is positive here. It means we don't want to use these angles. Now, how do you draw the 30 degrees angle? The 30 degrees angle, right? Sorry, what is the 30 degrees angle? Remember, if you work out for theta here, you're going to have theta is equal to sine inverse of 0.5. And remember from our trigonometric ratios, the arcsine or antisine of 0.5 is 30 degrees. Well, that is the angle that we are going to use, and we are going to draw it from the x-axis, and that is going to be 30 degrees here and 30 degrees here, right from the x-axis, right from the x-axis. And now we can find all the possible angles that appear here. I think that can be really explained in our next video, where we are going to do a perfect example for the same. Otherwise, that is how we apply the unit circle. That is the information about the unit circle. Now let us use that information to do our next and first example.